So this past weekend I hopped into Aquarium Co-op's live stream and was greeted with this.
Yeah, you guys can keep guessing. I'll say if I see someone who guesses correctly, the right YouTuber, but I haven't seen it yet.
People were guessing names and I had no idea why people were guessing names, but I was hooked. I had to figure out why they were guessing names and what names were actually being guessed. I found out that the people that were being guessed were fish tubers that were potential people that could be the new community manager for Aquarium Co-op. Once I found that out, I had to do a deeper dive into who it could be, who it wouldn't be, and figured I'd share it with you guys as I try to figure out who I think the new employee at Aquarium Co-op is going to be. Now, I have no skin in this game. I just thought it'd be worth sharing because if I had these questions, I figured other people would have these questions and we can try to speculate and come to a conclusion together. So this is how it goes. First, Corey started off by saying this.
Then we hired on another employee, and this is the community manager I've been talking about. So they're officially signed. They put in a notice with their company and everything, and they start June 1st. And it's another YouTuber that you guys should know, or you might know.
Afterwards, people guessed Bentley Pascal and Sasquatch. And I think Sasquatch is a reference to Steamboat Aquatics, because if I recall correctly, people called him Sasquatch at one point or the other, but if I'm wrong, don't sue me because I really don't know. This is just sort of a grasping at straws that are kind of there in my memory. So Bob, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but I think it is referring to Steamboat. Regardless, Corey says this next.
Yeah, you guys can keep guessing. I'll say if I see someone who guesses correctly, the right YouTuber, but I haven't seen it yet.
Which means that it is definitely not Bentley, and it is most definitely not Sasquatch, Steamboat. So after Corey said that those were not the names of the new community manager, people started guessing other names because they realized that he was actually potentially going to say who was going to be. So the first one that was guessed was by Candace, who is an employee moderator of Aquarium Co-op, and she guessed Zenzo from Tazawa Tanks, which would make a lot of sense because he is good friends with Aquarium Co-op and Corey specifically, from what I can tell in the videos and their interactions with one another. I don't know if it was actually true though, because I feel as though Candy could be potentially, you know, throwing out some false leads to get people excited and isn't actually Zenzo. But I don't know. It could be Zenzo, it could not be Zenzo. The next guess by somebody was Simply Betta, followed by Steve, which I guess Steve could be Steve Poland, but I don't think so because Steve Poland does African cichlids, and I don't think that would jive very well with the whole planted aquarium community tank feeling of Aquarium Co-op. But Steve is out there. Another guess was Flynn from Flynn's Fish Forum, which also was a very good guess. Another guess was Pecktec, Sean from Pecktec, another good guess. And Mike from, I would assume, DIY Aqua Pros was guessed by Twin City Guppies. And that rounds out the 6 contestants for the community manager of Aquarium Co-op, because shortly after that, Corey said this.
I have seen, someone has mentioned the YouTuber, but I'm not gonna tell you who, so.
That is where I come in and try to give my best guess of who it could potentially be based on the information that we have and other circumstantial things that also happen surrounding this. So our 6 contestants are Steve, Tazawa Tanks, Flynn's Fish Forum, Simply Betta, Pecktec, and DIY Aqua Pros. So out of those 6, one of them is going to be Aquarium Co-op's new community manager. So let's get into why I think some of these are not going to be it and who I think is actually going to be it. So first off is Steve. I really don't think it could be Steve Poland, and I don't know any other fish tubers named Steve. So Steve, and if you get the job and you're seeing this, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. I'd love to learn more about your channel. And if you guys know of a Steve in the fish tuber community, correct me if I'm wrong, but for that reason, I'm just crossing out Steve because I don't know a Steve. The next one that we have is Flynn's Fish Forum. And I think that it isn't Flynn's Fish Forum for a couple of reasons. One, he is relatively young and relatively inexperienced with directing a community and running and organizing a community. He has a YouTube channel, does make videos, but doesn't have that same community level of engagement either through Patreon or the community tab in his own channel. So I don't think it's to be Flynn. I think down the road, potentially Flynn could work for Aquarium Co-op, but I think at the current situation, he just doesn't have the experience that Corey would be looking for in somebody for the community manager. Next, Simply Betta. I don't think it is Natalie from Simply Betta for a couple of reasons. One, she had the live stream at the same time that Aquarium Co-op had the same live stream.
I know Aquarium Co-op has a live stream going on right now, so I figured nobody was gonna come.
So if she was going to be the one receiving that position, you'd think that she would be supporting it or a part of it in the same way. Or maybe they're trying to throw us off their trail by having both of them have live streams at the same time. I also think though that in her live stream she mentioned that she's looking forward to spending the summer with her kids and didn't really say anything about a new job or anything transitioning like that when she mentioned a job, and she said she was very happy about the job that she is doing as well as the job that she has done with anime and voice acting and things of that nature. So I really don't think it's gonna be Natalie from Simply Betta, given all those circumstantial things. So if we have Steve, Flynn, and Natalie crossed off, that leaves only Zenzo, Sean, and Mike as the 3 potential candidates. I'll sort of give you why I see these as being the 3 most likely and who I think it actually is going to be. So first off, like I said, Zenzo and Corey have a great relationship. They are really good friends. You've seen them going over to each other's houses and fish rooms and helping Zenzo set up his fish room, and last week Dean was there with Zenzo, so it kind of makes sense. They have a really good relationship, but I also think based on what Zenzo has said about his work and whatnot, he really likes it and did a lot of traveling, but didn't really seem like he was in the market for a new job. And again, I could be wrong, but that's just sort of the vibe that I'm getting from. I think Zenzo would be great on the team, but I don't think that Zenzo is probably going to be it. The next one that we have is Mike from DIY Aqua Pros, and Mike has made a couple of appearances on Aquarium Co-op throughout the years. He's actually set up some tanks, an avatar tank for Aquarium Co-op, for Corey specifically, in his old fish room when he had the cinder block stands. So he could be another potential option, and obviously is, because Corey said that one of those 6 people would be the person. But I don't think that it is going to be Mike, because he is doing his own thing, like that is in competition with Aquarium Co-op to a certain extent, with his stickers and his things of that nature. Now granted, competition is good and it drives people to be better and to create better products, but I don't think that he would come onto that company, because I feel as though if he comes onto that company, he can't still operate his own company. So for that reason, I think Mike would also be out. And the final one would be Sean from Pecktec, and it's P-E-C-K-T-E-C. I know how to spell it, just really not sure how to pronounce it, but I've heard it pronounced many different ways. So Sean, if you're watching, sorry that I'm butchering your channel name, but we go on. So Sean and Corey, according to them, haven't had much interactions when they've seen each other in passing at conventions and shows and things of that nature, but really haven't sat down and talked for long periods of time. And you might think that's probably a reason why Sean wouldn't be getting or become the new community manager, but I think that a recent interview that Sean and Corey did on Sean's channel sort of gives insight as to a potential cooperation between the two and Sean working for Aquarium Co-op. So I'm gonna play a couple of clips from that interview and give some explanations and my thoughts behind why this seems the most likely and most probable based on these conversations that they're having on Sean's interview with Corey. So let's get into the first clip.
I've been following you for quite a while, and so to watch another fish video is few and far between for me. It's like, well, I'm supposed to be making that instead of consuming.
So let's read in between the lines between what Corey was saying right there. Corey is a very busy man, as we've all seen and have had him tell us. So for him to be able to follow along with somebody and keep track of them for a very long time, be very interested in what they're doing, is him spending his time, which is something he doesn't have a lot of, on a thing that he finds very valuable and very informative and very entertaining. So him spending his time watching Sean is a rather big deal, especially if he's been following him for quite a long time. It goes just to even show how much more respect and appreciation Corey has for Sean. So let's get into the second clip here, where Corey is talking about how he really admires Sean's work with the clones and how much effort that took.
But then when you see like clones come in, you're like, I know what that, I can only imagine and know what that takes to script and actually do, and the work going into that. Like, this is something magical that I really enjoy how it's being done. And like, oh my gosh, he went that extra step to actually make that happen too. Like, he put way too much time into this video.
So Corey basically is just raving about how much he loves what Sean did with the clones and the work that went into it, and how interesting and cool it was to watch that on the other end, and realizing just the amount of time that it took to produce one of those videos. And Corey goes on to make a further self-deprecating joke, talking about how he produces videos and how Sean produces videos.
And I always wonder, like, do the public know? They're like, you just put a week's worth of work into this 12-minute video, versus like me, I just talked like an idiot for 12 minutes and people loved it, that one, you know, because it's, and I see that, and that's what my respect of seeing is like when people go above and beyond.
So finally, the last thing that they're talking about is how much Corey admires Sean's hard work for producing these types of things and going the extra mile, and how he admires that type of work ethic.
Like, one of my favorite tanks you ever did was your whole steampunk tank, where it's got the purple and all that. Like, I really nerd out when you do that stuff that money can't buy. When I'm just like, look, this guy's creating something. That's what I want to see for me, because I have to do the, like, let's do a food review. I do all of that. So when I see someone doing something I don't do, that's when I'll watch.
So maybe after these bits of conversation here and interactions between Sean and Corey, you may not be entirely convinced, but I just want to leave you with this one thing from Sean recently in one of his more recent videos talking about the wrap up of his recent podcast / video interview series that he has done. And it's a little on the downside, but it just goes to show and helps further why I think Sean is going to be the one that's going to become the community manager.
Been some motivational issues, and I don't want to get anybody down or anything. I work for the movie theater company. We're trying to get our theaters open, trying to get things going again, and save all our jobs by showing some movies to people.
So as down as that may sound, it is a reality of what's been happening with the movie theater industry, and that there's been a lot less people attending, and that they've been struggling to keep their doors open and to pay the people that have actually been employees. And he's talked about that in the past, where he had to go on furlough for a little bit. And I think that he very well could be at a point in his life where he is willing to make a change of pace and change some jobs around and to go out and try something new. And I think that Corey really appreciates what he's done and values his work ethic and what he can bring to the team as a whole. And for those reasons, I think that Sean is going to be the new community manager for Aquarium Co-op. But again, all of this is speculation and what I think. I'd love to hear in the comments below whether or not you think it's going to be Sean or Zenzo or Flynn or Mike or Natalie or Steve for the new role. And with that, I hope you guys have a blessed day and see you guys in the next one.